we are. We are official now, sir. Live and ready to go. We already got two people waiting for you when you showed up.
Already.
They're there ready to roll.
Appreciate that. Two people.
That's right. That's right. I told Jamiyl before we started that when I do these live, kind of my max number that I've had so far that are watching live is about maybe 20, 25 people. And he feels pretty confident we're going to blow that out of the water today. So I hope so.
So all you people out there that want me to quit coaching, you hate seeing me on the field, if you get 2,500 people within the next 30 minutes on here, I'll retire from coaching.
2,500. That's
2,500.
All right. So we're going to be here for a while. I like it. All right. So this is one that I've been excited to do for a little while. And part of the reason is I was waiting a minute to do this because I've just met Jamiyl recently. We've known each other now for not even quite a year, I don't think, and got involved in his program, and one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. So I wanted to talk to him, but I want to give a little bit of time simmer in before we got to that point. However, this ended up being a really good period of time simply because we are moving into spring baseball soon, and his franchise his company 817, we're trying to do a little promotion for them. So this actually fit in really well with that. So I figured the timing would be good to get it rolling. You're also recovering from a fun little stomach virus.
Yes, sir.
How's that
hopefully
feeling?
I can get through without taking a commercial break.
Yes. So if Jamiyl has to sprint out of the room while we're here for a second, I'll vamp for.
Or we can go to the bathroom and keep going.
Yeah.
Either way,
just carry it in there. Just depends on everybody's stomach for it, right?
Yes. Oh, that's a good one.
See, I come up with them every once in a while.
Yes,
all right. So just so everybody knows, Jamiyl is the owner of he's the owner and athletic director, as his title states, for 817 Sports. It's based here in Mansfield, where we are. Now, what does this have to do with real estate and finance, which is what I usually talk about? And the answer is nothing.
Well, not quite.
No, not quite.
So, in order for us to, succeed and continue to succeed, I do need some real estate for a bigger facility. If anybody out there wanting to donate, help us out.
There you go.
3,000 square feet is getting a little. I need some more elbow room.
Getting a little tight. Well,
it's getting a little tight.
When you have the growth that you've had, that tends to happen sometimes. So yeah, so it does relate to real estate, because if you know of a piece of plot of land that you're willing to donate, then
yes, he's
ready to accept. Right.
Yes, sir.
But really and truly, like, this is just something that I'm very passionate about. I've been involved in youth sports and youth athletics for a good portion of my life. Just for anybody that doesn't know me in particular very well, any of the Jamiyl fans out there watching, just to give you an understanding of where I come from on this stuff. So I ran a swim school for kids for about 6 years when I was in my early 20s. And we had about 2,000 kids that swam with us every year. And I managed and I taught lessons. I taught teachers how to teach lessons. I ran the business. I dealt with parents. I played sports all through school. From the time I was 5 or 6, I played baseball, football, basketball, all the way through. I graduated from high school. I didn't play in college. Wasn't good enough for that. So that's okay, though. And then once I had children, I have a daughter and a son, a 15-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. I've been coaching them since they were, from the moment I could, basically. Right. I was like itching to get out of the gate to coach my kids. And so we coached soccer and football and baseball and basketball and softball. And, I did everything. We tried it all. We went through everything. After that, got involved with baseball. I sat on the board for the Mansfield Youth Baseball Association. I was on that board for almost 8 years as a commissioner with equipment, helping with registration, and dealing with parent issues and all the fun stuff that comes along with that, along with coaching at the same time. And then during that, I actually started a football organization with Arlington Community Athletics, which is an Optimist club. They had a cheer program for years and years and years and wanted to start a football program. So asked me to come in and help them get that started. So I went in, created the entire football program, flag and tackle. Did that for about 5 or 6 years. I just retired last year because my son aged out. And they have a great organization over there, and they're still running strong. So I'm really proud of what we did over there, and kind of have stayed somewhat involved with them. But so my point of all that is just that I've been around this world related to youth sports. I've been doing it for a while.
Yes, sir.
I don't have the chops that Mr. Jamiyl has as far as like dealing with the kids and whatnot, because that's part of the reason I want to talk to him. But I do have a little bit of knowledge in this area. And they say those who can't do teach, right?
Yes,
And that's where I am. So this is going to be probably a long one because Coach and I got a lot to talk about. But I got a lot of high regard for this guy. He's one of my favorite humans that I've met in the last couple of years. And mostly I feel that way because he treats and deals with my son the same way that I do. And him and I have talked about this before. It's very difficult sometimes to find another man that is in your son's life that treats and feels and has the same values that you do.
Absolutely.
And relays that to him, because I'm sure you know as a dad that, talking to your son about everything all the time, eventually, or at least in phases, they kind of tune you out, right? Your voice doesn't impact them the same. So to find somebody that can impact my son, and not just in baseball development, because that's been fantastic, but also just his character as a man and as a human. And
he's a great kid.
That's what I
I
appreciate.
don't even have to do much.
So, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So, so all that being said, let's find out a little bit about, your hero origin story, right? You like the Marvel comics and all that kind of stuff?
Nah, I
Not into
don't
that?
like the unrealistic comics.
You deal in real world all the time, right?
Yeah.
So how did we get from tiny, sweet little baby Jamiyl to, the man building the empire in front of me? How'd we get there?
Sheesh. Well, I was born in Camden, New Jersey.
Okay.
1976. During that time, 70s and 80s, that was the murder capital of America. Not that it makes me tough or anything, but people who know about Camden, New Jersey, know how it is.
Right.
By the time I was 4, my mom was like, "Dude, I got to get you out of here." So she sent me to Atlanta to live with my great grandma for a little while.
Okay.
Until she came down, got a job, and secured everything. Few stops from Camden to Atlanta. One of the few things I won't talk about, but as I told you earlier.
Yeah.
So we got there. Mom finally came home. So it was just me and her for a while. And then I met my hero, which is my father. A lot of people call him stepfathers. There's nothing step about him besides him stepping up and being a man and raising me like his own.
Mm-hmm.
What's up, Pop? William Anderson. I made it, baby. But anyway, yeah. And from then, he married my mom, and he raised me. Had a little sister, and from then on, it was just us 4. We moved around Atlanta a lot, though. Grant Park, Lithonia, Decatur, Ellenwood, and school to school. But then we settled and went to private school for a while, which was wild because private school is a lot different than what people would think. It's super wild in private schools.
Yes, it is. I went to 2 myself in multiple stops, so I'm very aware.
And it was a church private school too, so
sheltered kids like to party.
More than party.
Exactly.
But then I started getting into sports, and the school we were at didn't really have the exposure for soccer, which was my main sport, my main love. So I had to go to public school, and I think I transferred in the 9th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Went to some old country hick high school in Stockbridge, Georgia, which is ironic now because it went from backwoods country to now it's predominantly Black.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It shifted overnight.
It shifted quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as baseball, shoot, I played until I was 9. Got hit in the face with the ball.
You were done.
Playing shortstop, never recovered. It actually took me about 30 years to get over that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Because when I went in the military, they saw I was a pretty good athlete. It was like, "Hey, man, come out for the softball team." It's like, cool. I'll play the outfield. And they were like, "Hey, why don't you come try third base?" I'm like, "Dude, no."
No more balls off the face, man. I'm done with that. Yeah.
So soon as they convinced me to go try out at third base, and this is no lie, the first ground ball hit to me. Hits me square in my eye. Knocks me out.
Knocks you out cold?
Knocks me out cold. I wake up, and I had the seam of the softball over my eyebrow and like across from my nose. Needless to say, that was the last time I ever picked up a bat, softball, baseball for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, your last two experiences are taking balls off the face. Nobody enjoys that.
And even when I started coaching baseball, I was scared to death of the baseball.
Yeah.
But now I'm over it. No fear of baseball anymore.
So you said something about the military. When did you when did that
I
period of your
didn't
life
want to
happen?
go in the military. I had a lot of small school scholarships to play soccer, but me being, what people would call cocky, I thought those were too big, too small for me. So I wanted to go to North Carolina. North Carolina has always been my favorite school.
Over the Bulldogs?
Well, we'll get to that part.
Okay, all right.
I'm a Bulldog through and through.
Okay, making sure.
Like North Carolina, the basketball team, that's like probably my favorite franchise.
Okay.
I don't know why. I think I was just cleaning the house one day, and I think it was maybe 9 or 10, and I was just in awe of the color, that baby blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just stuck with me, and I just followed them.
Well, they had a winning. I mean, when we were kids, I'm a little bit younger than you, like 2 years, but when we were kids, they had a very a strong. I mean, that's where Jordan
Dean
went.
Smith,
yeah, Dean Smith,
King Rice.
Yeah, they had a massive run there.
Yes.
So I mean, every kid, all kids are front runners. We all, as parents, we always like look at our kids like if I'm a Cowboy fan, right? Well, the Cowboys have sucked for a long time. And so when I'm upset at my son because he's not a Cowboy fan, it's like, well, they suck. I'm like, that's a good point. So we are front runners. So when we're kids, we tend to gravitate to the teams. We're all Bulls fans as a kid, right? That's just how it works.
It was me, the color though, man. I was just like, dude, this color is dope, and that's turns out to be my favorite color now. But anyway, I jump all over the place just because my anxiety, whatever. But yeah, what were we talking about?
Well, we were just talking about you. You became.
Oh yes. So, my parents didn't have much money, so I told them, even though I was getting scholarship offers, my mom was like, "You're not gonna be going to school and partying and screw up your scholarship, blah 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 blah." I was like, "Dude, I don't even want to go to these schools anyway." So, long story short, she convinced me to go to the military. Some recruiter convinced her that I can play soccer in the military and blah 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 blah.
I'll tell you all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, so I fell for the okie doke. Scored pretty high on my ASVAB. And
what branch?
Air Force.
Okay.
So I was able to qualify to go in there and qualify for a computer job. So when I got shipped off in August of '94, Air Force basic training is supposed to be 6 weeks. I think it's the shortest of all the branches, even the Coast Guard. Well, knowing me, you know how I am. It was 2 weeks longer than what it should have been. So I ended up having to do 8 weeks because I got what they call recycled. I had a habit of trying to be funny at the wrong times, and
they don't like jokes in basic training.
They don't like jokers, and they don't like guys who like to fight. So,
well, it's not that they don't like if you like to fight. I wouldn't think they just need you to fight in the right circumstances.
In the right circumstances.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, I was recycled 2 weeks, and what they do in the military is when you come in, most of the time, people who have jobs and they come in open general. My job lined up my tech school for my job and my graduation date from basic training were supposed to line up. Well, me getting recycled 2 weeks screwed that whole plan up.
Right.
So they didn't want to let my tech school date delay 2 weeks too.
Okay.
So I'm sure they gave my job to someone else.
So you missed the window all completely to get into that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh wow.
So they gave me an option to look at all these other jobs. And of course, my job came up again. So I'm thinking I'm getting it. No. Security forces. So I'm in security forces doing the same thing, being a knucklehead, fighting, joking, pissing off the sergeants and everybody else. Because I'm mad, bro.
Yeah. You don't want to be there.
I don't want to be there. I wanted to be in the computers. Now you got me being a freaking grunt.
Right.
Well, Air Force grunt. But it was all God's plan, I guess, because that's where I met my wife.
Okay.
In tech school. So if I didn't get in trouble, I wouldn't, 28 years later.
You wouldn't have met her before.
And I wouldn't have these 3 kids.
Yeah.
Nope. But actually, I ended up playing soccer overseas. I I was in Minot. We got our first assignment was Minot, North Dakota. Well, actually, mine was Korea. Hers was Minot. I wasn't going to Korea, bro. No. So I found some flunky to switch with me.
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather be cold than in Korea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's different. It's a different world over there, no doubt.
Yep. He switched with me. Followed her to Minot, North Dakota, where it's literally negative 92 degrees below zero.
Yeah.
And people die from freezing to death.
Yeah. There's not a whole lot of people up there.
No, it's definitely not a whole lot of melanin.
No.
So when we go up there, they see us.
You're sticking out like a sore thumb. Yeah.
Gosh, yes, bro. Stairs, and more stairs. But the good thing was, man, you could leave your car running. You could leave your house, our apartment unlocked. Nothing will happen.
Yeah.
But
because there's only 5 people around, so they
yes,
figure out real quick who it was.
Yes, and it's mostly 9 months out of the year is frozen anyway.
Ben says he wants to give him a 316. I'm missing that. I don't know what that means.
I don't know. It's a black thing, I guess. I'm light skinned, so I missed that one. What's 316, Ben? Oh. I bet you that has something to do with the Air Force job code or something like that.
Gotcha.
I was a 3CO, Ben. Well, that's what I was supposed to be, 3COP or something like that, computers. But anyways, then we got different orders again. So we had to finagle the system. They were going to separate us. So she got orders, I want to say to Italy or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I got orders to Germany or something like that, man. But anyway, well, in the military, right, they don't care if you're married. They don't care if you got kids. If they want you to go somewhere, they're going to send you.
You're a tool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you're not a human.
No.
You're a tool.
No.
They have a purpose for you. Yeah.
They have a purpose.
Yeah.
So we got smart. We was like, okay, we got something for y'all. Bam. Let's go to Justice Peace and get married. I think someone told us about the loophole, or her mom was actually in the military too. So one way or another, we found out and we got married. And then they had to give us orders together to the same place, which ended up being Mildenhall, England.
So once you get married, then they don't have a choice at that point.
It makes it harder.
Okay. All right.
And for us having the same job, she was security forces too. They, I don't know if I can cuss.
Oh, you're fine.
They fucked her bad. She came in open general, which means the recruiter tells you, oh, look at all, you go open general and you can get all these jobs. Look at it. You scored high. You can get this job, this job, this job. She fell for it, right?
Yeah.
Bam, security forces. She's too hot to be security forces, bro. Like, seriously. But anyways, we go to England. And before then, though, she saved me from so much trouble, dude. Oh my gosh.
Women typically do that.
I would probably be in jail right now still if it wasn't for her.
Yeah, they keep us out of stupid situations, especially like, young men between the ages of 18 and 25. We're big morons. We don't know what to do. We got a lot of testosterone and no brains, and those aren't good mixes.
If she was here, she'd tell you the story. She couldn't stand me when we first started tech school. She thought I was a clown. How I always make fun of people and try to be the center of attention. And, I was hothead, always looking for a reason to fight. But spit that game, bro. Spit that game.
I know that they like the
bad boys.
I joke with my wife when we were dating, or excuse me, before we started dating. She actually had another guy that she was with or whatever, and we were kind of talking. She was like, "Hey, let's see what we can do with this thing or whatever."
Right.
And she's like, "No, I have a boyfriend." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "All right, fine." So after a couple weeks of that, months, whatever, I was just like, "You know what? I'm done. Like, I'm gonna go talk to somebody else."
Right.
As soon as I did that,
yeah.
Then she was like, "Okay, well, maybe we can." And I was like,
right.
Got you."
Right. So yeah, we're in England. I'm kind of straightening up now, just because I really don't have a choice. Because I'd come so close to being discharged or going to jail. It just was dumb stuff. It wasn't like I was like disrespectful. I just don't put up with shit.
Right.
And in the military, now don't get me wrong, I love the concept of the military. The structure, the camaraderie, the
Teaches a lot of lessons about how to
Yes.
be a person.
But I cannot stand the execution of the military.
Right.
It's a lot of guys with stripes who go above and beyond to make you feel like you're inferior.
Right.
And you know me long enough to know
That ain't
that's
gonna
not going to
flow.
fly with me.
Yeah.
Taking advantage of, you know, the fact that whatever they tell you to do, you have to do it no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah.
I couldn't deal with that.
Yeah.
I couldn't, especially when I know I'm more intelligent. You're telling me to do stuff that makes 0 sense. I can do it a more efficient way, but then I get in trouble for it. It's like,
Mhm.
nah, bro, this ain't gonna work. But the good thing was when I got overseas, I finally got my talent to get foot on display. So I played for the European Air Force team. I also got signed with the local soccer team, the West Road Gunners.
That's what Marco thinks.
Ha! Let's not talk about high heads, Marco. You and the North Texas Dodgers. I'm not gonna bring that up. But yeah, so I got signed to play for this local pub team, and
This was in England?
yes, sir.
Okay.
And from there, my job became easy because I was pretty much never at work.
Yeah.
I was either playing for the European Air Force team, or I was with my local club, or I was
And
playing.
I mean, you went about passion over there for people that they have for
Yes.
club soccer. I mean,
Yes.
lowest levels to highest levels.
Yes.
If you're in their community, you're like heroes there, huh?
Yes, it just depends on who you are.
Right.
Depends on who you are.
Right.
So,
Is it one of those things where they like you on the field, but then off the field,
yes,
it's a different story?
it's a different story.
Right.
So, I'm still doing my job. I'm also become like me and who turns out to be my oldest godfather, Henry Brown. We're a legend on base because of the flag. We're playing flag football together. He's the quarterback. I'm the running back, and we're like winning the base championship like every year we were there. And so I got away with a lot of stuff simply because I represented the Air Force,
Yep.
you know, in soccer or whatever. And then, you know, they were pretty, I wouldn't say fully supporting my aspiration to play pro soccer, but they weren't hindering it either.
Right.
Right. Now, if we had a mission to do, then of course I had to do my job. But other than that, you know, they would give me a cool schedule and everything. And but long story short on the soccer thing, I wasn't cut out for it, man. In America, it's a lot different. Like, it's cool to be the star, like as far as like dribbling and me. No, in Europe, it's a lot rougher. They don't like for you to touch the ball too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 1, 2, 3 touch, get rid of it. These guys are in phenomenal shape.
So maybe in Europe, it's more of I mean, just for simple terms, it's more of a team sport, and here in the
Yes,
U.S.,
absolutely.
it's more individualized.
Yes,
Yeah.
super team sport.
They're looking for superstars, not super teams.
Yes.
Yep.
So, you know, I go from playing on a military team and, you know, I'm the man. And then I go to my club team, semi-pro, whatever you want to call it. And I'm playing half the game, or I'm starting and coming out, or I'm subbing. And I'm struggling with conditioning big time.
Mm-hmm.
Because over there, man, these guys it's a thing to drink and smoke and drink tea. So before the games, we go to a pub, which sponsored us.
Mm-hmm.
So they're drinking pints, bro, before the game.
It's like Vladi Divac.
Yes. And I'm not a drinker anyway, so
Yeah.
I'm not drinking. And then at halftime, they're smoking and drinking tea, like smoking cigarettes and drinking tea at halftime.
Wow.
Not tired. I'm breathing like hard, dude. Like, man, I'm tired. Try not to let the coach see I'm tired so I don't come out.
Yeah, I don't want to come out. Yeah.
And then after the game, back to drinking and smoking. So and it was very, very physical too. Very physical game. And I was super light, very little, about 140 pounds.
Uh-huh.
So the game had just, I wouldn't say passed me up. It's just I wasn't able to adapt to that style of play.
Right.
So, but I still continued to play the whole 4 years I was there. And I just was going ahead and be like, okay, I'm just going to be the star of the military team.
Yeah. 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 Be the hero there.
I'll
and
be the hero there. And
uh-huh.
then, I'll just, fill in and be a regular average Joe on the soccer field with my local club.
Mhm.
But after about 98, 97, 98, I actually made the European Player of the Year for the games in Ramstein Air Base.
Okay.
I had to switch to keeper, so I won that. But I was getting tired of the military, just being told what to do all the time, and always having somebody look over you and criticizing and this and that. It's not that I have a problem with authority. I just have a problem with I'm a free spirit, bro.
Well, you're an obviously with what you've done with the club, you're an entrepreneurial type of person, and the hard part, I would imagine, and I know nothing
Being
about
controlled.
the military. Yes,
I cannot stand being controlled.
yes, you have to have the ability to do what
Be
you want to
free.
do
Free
without somebody
thinker.
telling you what to
Yes.
do. Yeah,
I'm a
no,
free
I totally understand. But the military is that way for a reason. You know
Yes.
what I mean? There has to be a chain of command. There has to be
Yes, it does.
when the orders are given, especially because everything's preparing for battle and preparing for war.
Yeah.
And so it has to be a top-down situation, because if it's not, then it doesn't work. And so the free thinker and the wild card, or whatever you
Yeah.
want to call it, they don't fit well in those
No, they
environments.
don't.
They just don't.
They don't. And then I was tired of depending on my wife to get me out of a lot of stuff. It's not fair to her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And let's be honest, you got this knucklehead black kid with this beautiful white woman. She saved me from a lot of shit, bro.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what the hell she sees in me.
Right.
Like, sorry guys. But yeah, I couldn't do it anymore. Especially after I was in Bosnia in '96. That was rough.
Mhm.
Being away from her for 7 months, being scared to death. In '96, I was 20 years old. I was a 60 gunner for our platoon, or whatever you want to call it, and it's scary, bro. And that's when Milosevic was trying to, kill all the Serbs or whatever, whichever one it was. He was just trying to commit genocide, dude.
Yeah.
Like wipe out a whole race. And I'm 20 years old. I'm on the top of a Humvee, pointing a 60 machine gun at just random people I don't even know. And then that on top of seeing how people live outside of America, third world countries, and how we take advantage of stuff, it just wasn't for me anymore.
Yeah, I could imagine. I didn't do anything close to that. I worked on a cruise ship, so it's not even the same thing. But I met people from all over the world when I did that, and meeting people and knowing what their life was and what they go through on a day-to-day basis, and talking to them and finding out about them, it made me feel like silly, like the world that I came from is not even real. Like I'm living in a bubble, and I have every opportunity known to man on the planet. And you don't appreciate it or value it until you get it's the whole, until you walk a mile in someone else's shoes, or you are in that environment. And I can't even imagine for you standing there pointing a weapon at somebody that has done nothing to you.
Kids sometimes.
Yeah. That never is, said a crossword to you.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then seeing how you got these women coming to clean our bathrooms, bro. And it's rough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost reminded me of Camden, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
But on a different level, different scale. But yeah, I got out, man. My wife got out too in 2000. And we went back to Atlanta, stayed with my mom until, I think it was like 6 months, until we had a house built. And then ironically, I was trying to work with my dad. He has like a little small time paint business, which he also worked for the city of Atlanta too, the water company. But we were trying to blow up his paint business. Well, of course, you go to the bank to try to get a loan for a house. They're not going to give you, $100,000, $200,000 on a dream.
Right. I'm very familiar. Yes.
So once again, man, I don't like to use the word luck, but I was fortunate. God blessed me that some people I knew growing up recruited me for the feds. So course, I didn't want to do that. It's the same thing as the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole time I'm telling myself, hey, man, I'm just going to do this for a couple of years. I'm going to go back to school, which me and my wife both did in the military. We got a lot of our core stuff out of the way. So I'm going to school, working for the feds. I'm like, as soon as I graduate, I'm out of here.
What are you doing for them?
Corrections.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. And remember I told you I was tiny?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I joined the feds, I was about 160, 163. Yeah, that changed after the first 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It don't matter how much heart you got.
No.
When them big boys put their
Coming
hands
at you.
on you,
Yes. Yeah. You're not.
that heart can only get you so far.
That's right.
So needless to say, I gained about 62 pounds within a year. So I went from like 163 to 225. I was benching about 365, squatting about 400. And that helped.
Yeah.
Because no matter what you do in a prison, whether you work there, you don't run the prison.
Right.
Convicts do.
You're there. Just, I mean, you're not behind the cage, but
they allow you to go home every day.
Right.
So I got along with them pretty well. They knew I wasn't soft or whatever, but they also knew they had to respect me.
There's a certain level of intimidation factor where I haven't talked about this with my son from time to time, just about when you're in certain situations that people will purposefully test you,
and they did,
to see if they can push you, and you have to at some point stand up for
fight
yourself,
or flight.
Right? Even if you lose, but then the respect changes, because then they're like, all right, I can't just push on that person, because they will push back.
And they did it to the women too, bro.
Oh yeah.
Girl I came in with, our class that we came in was only 4 of us. First dude quit after the first day inside. Me and my buddy John Deloach, we stayed through. And this girl we was in our class. Her name was Coleman too. She got tested, bro. She had a mouth on her. They put her to sleep. Man, 3-piece. Boop, boop, boop.
Wow.
Yeah. They rewarded her with a teacher job though. She worked in education after that, but they don't care if you're man, woman, black, white. Nah, they're gonna.
It's survival.
It's survival.
Yeah.
And so I'm in there doing that. And I actually, my rookie year, or a year after my rookie year, dude, it's tragic. So a lot of these guys who work inside the prisons, right? They do the same thing that I was trying to get away from in the military. They would take their power and abuse it. So it's one day I'm working with a old head, or we call them old hacks. And he's searching this inmate's room or whatever, and he leaves his paperwork in his room. Well, of course, what's a convict gonna do? He catch you slipping.
Yeah.
He's gonna make you pay for it. Mm-hmm. Well, he realizes it. He goes back to the room. He's looking for it, and he gets pissed because no one's talking. I'm like, dude, you got to eat it. You got caught. You got caught slipping. Just, I ain't gonna tell nobody. I'm not gonna tell Lieutenant. Just chill out. Nah, he wants to lock the unit down, close the TV rooms, cut the phones off. So now I'm 23, 24 years old, working with this guy. He's in his 40s. And I'm in here with, this is maximum security. This isn't the one like Seagoville where I worked at when I moved here. This is maximum security. These guys don't play.
Right.
This is their home. This fool charges them up. So what they do was, after he locked down, when they opened back up, someone put a needle in his chair. So what they do is, there's a blanket, and they put the needle through the top or the bottom of the blanket so it sticks up. They put it in his chair. So let me paint a picture. I don't know if you've seen Oz or basically any kind of prison show. There's the rooms, and then the officer, we had a station outside on the range. Well, we had 2 sides. My side was on that side. His side was on this side. So after we count, you're supposed to count every so many hours to make sure
everybody's there.
Everybody's there.
Yeah.
So we counted. I don't know why, but this day I called in the count from his side. So I go to sit down, grab the phone, and the chairs are like the stools. It's not like this chair. And what do usually people do when they go to sit in a stool? They plop down,
Yeah.
right? They
Yeah.
don't just sit down because
Right.
it's so high.
Yeah.
Dude, I plopped down. Needle stuck me right in my balls.
Oh man.
Dude, I jumped up hollering.
That was meant for him.
Meant for him.
Yeah.
Meant for him.
Yeah.
And come to find out, one of the dudes that was infected with something actually put something on the needle for him. That's how mad they were. So I was out of work for a while. Psychologically, I'm screwed up, man, because I had found out through the grapevine, through word of mouth, out of respect from the inmates. You know, they had got word to me like, man, that wasn't meant for you, blah, blah, blah. We actually put something on that needle. So I'm getting tested for like 6 months, man.
Yeah.
Everything, HIV, tuberculosis, whatever, any airborne communicable disease. My wife's stressing out. Family, mom and dad stressing out. But nothing came from it. But was weird. Like I didn't get sick or anything from it. It was just painful for a while.
Yeah.
But what was weird was while I was out, I got all kinds of random awards. Like, how am I getting awards? I'm not even at work. It's the government
They're trying to grease the wheel so you don't cause any problems. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
we appreciate you so much. You're so great.
I got so many step increases. And,
just don't sue and don't do anything. Yeah.
You really can't sue the government.
Well, yeah, whatever it would be called. Yeah.
So that was an experience. But
so you're in the military, you're playing soccer overseas, you're working for the feds and corrections, dealing with prisoners all the time,
and going to school at
Clayton
State University. Shout out Clayton State, the Lakers.
And how do you get from all of that to Texas?
The wife. Her family, most of her family was here. Her dad was in the Navy, so he settled here. Her sister settled. Her youngest sister settled here. Her middle sister settled here. Her stepmom settled here. And so she was like, hey, let's move to Texas. I'm like, man, I ain't trying to go to Texas.
They got a lot of guns there.
Got a lot of guns. They also drag people on the back of the trucks and hang you from trees if they don't like you to.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm seeing all that stuff on the news, not knowing any better. That back then I was super, super naive. But I learned a lot in prison. I studied religions. I even called myself being Muslim for about 2 years. You just have so much time inside.
Yeah.
Even though I got to go home.
Right.
But
you're there all day.
Yeah, I'm there all day.
Yeah, and there's nothing. I mean, I would imagine there's not a whole lot happening. Occasionally,
after you do your random, stuff you're supposed to do, there's nothing. So I read a lot.
You're kind of serving your own time to some extent.
Yes,
yeah.
I listened a lot, studied a lot, observed a lot.
I bet just the which I think probably helps you with today, just the experience to see all types of human behavior and how people act in
absolutely
different environments and how they behave.
Enemies become friends.
Yeah.
Just for survival. Blacks work with whites because they don't want the Mexicans to take over. And
right.
Mexicans infighting because some aren't from actual Mexico. Some are from this. But what I can say is prison is the most respectable place in the world, if that makes sense. So
you mean how they treat each other with respect to some extent? Because if you don't, then
it's like you're dead.
Life or death. Yeah,
It's not like in the streets,
right.
Where you can say whatever you want on Facebook.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody at the park, like people say stuff to me all the time on Facebook, and then they see me at the park, they're all friendly. But in a prison, there's consequences.
Well, and I would imagine too, even
if you bump into a guy at the chow line,
yeah,
or if you get on the phone, their little pay phones without asking, because that phone,
that's their phone.
Yes.
Yeah, to that group or whatever.
That you're done.
Yeah. And it's not even, I would think it's not even one of those things where it happens right then.
Right.
It's okay. I just saw what you just did. And
yeah, there's no warning.
Yeah. In a week or 2 or 3 days or whenever I have an opportunity, you're done.
You're done.
Yeah.
If you're a cellie, you're a bottom bunk, he's top bunk, and you're not a cleanly cellie, you're getting shanked up, bro.
Yeah.
Or you got to check in.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by it's the most respectable environment that you can be in. But yeah, I learned a lot, man. And like you were telling me earlier about your wife, um, she's thinking she's, pretty religious. Um, I stopped being religious. I grew up in church from time I moved to Georgia because my dad, um, William, he was big into it. So of course he brought my mom and stuff over into it. Grew up in church, like I said, went to the church private school. But then I got my eyes open in prison, man. Just from reading and seeing different things. And I'm still a man of God. I just do not believe in religion or doctrine.
Right.
I believe it's another way just to control man.
Yeah.
And just from reading everything, different religions, you don't really need a doctrine or a set of rules to get to God. Your relationship is you and God. There's no middleman. There's no preacher. There's no TD Jakes. There's no Joel Osteen that you have to go through to get to God.
Right.
He's in us. And I just think that's just another way to control man. And it also goes back to me studying Black history and how we were given Christianity because it gave slaves hope. In a way to control slaves, or any human being is given hope. If you have anyone under your thumb, if you give them hope, they will never fight back.
There's something better coming.
There's something better coming.
Just stick with it. Just stick with it a little longer. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So, and I learned, and I'm not saying what I learned in studies is right.
Yeah,
but it makes sense to me.
Sure.
So anybody listening is like, man, this dude's fucking crazy.
Well, look,
no, it's not about that.
When it comes to religion or any of that, it's everything's personal with that, because there's a reason why there's 25 versions of Christianity, and everybody has their own doctrine that they follow, because everybody looks at something and goes, well, I believe this and I like this, but I don't necessarily think that that's right. So we all make personal decisions on what it is. So how can it be anything but personal? Right.
And it's too much contradictory stuff between religions and the Bible and everything. So I just feel like it makes more sense for me to follow God than to follow man's version of what he thinks God is.
Right.
But yeah, back to me, getting to where I am right now. Me and my wife both going to school at the same time, both graduated from Clayton State, her dental hygiene, me network technology. Once again, trying to get back to the computers, right? Well, we go back to the bank. Bam, hey, look, I got a degree.
Yep.
Network technology. They're like, okay, how much experience you got? So
well, I got a lot of experience, just not in that.
Yes. So finally I was like, look, I'm gonna have to stay in this damn Fed job for a while. We stayed with my mom for 6 months, got our house built. And then the track to baseball is coming. Sebastian, my oldest.
Yes.
Phenomenal athlete.
College soccer player right now.
Crossing my fingers, he gets newcomer of the year in all conference. He balled out, bro. We were all pretty pissed the first 2 or 3 games just because he didn't play at all. And that wasn't what he was recruited for. Coach told him he'd contribute right out the box, probably start, blah, 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 blah. So we're frustrated. Sure. He's frustrated.
Sure.
Never seen this kid frustrated.
Yeah.
As far as the game of soccer. But then something just clicked. I don't know. And he started every game after the 5th or 6th game. Never came out of the games, any of them. And had a great season. Couldn't play his last game, though. He got hurt. But I think he's a little better now. But anyways, we moved to Texas, I think in 2000. Actually, my wife moved first, 2006. So Sebastian was 2. The feds were giving me a hard time trying to transfer.
Right.
So I had to think of what do you call it? Like we did in the military, find a loophole.
Right.
So apply for a hardship. So I told my family, and if the feds are listening right now, it worked. Too late. You can't come back and get me now.
I don't think they're worried about me, so I don't think they're listening.
So I filed for a hardship. So I told them, hey, go move out to Texas. We probably have to be away from each other 6, 7 months. Bam, hardship. Hey, I'm away from my family.
Yeah.
My head's messed up. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So that worked. But we come to Texas, and then I transferred to Seagoville, which ended up being probably the worst time period of my life. That place is so bad with evil people. Not even the inmates, dude. It's just
The people running the joint.
the people running the joint.
There's a lot of corruption in prisons in general, just because
evil, bad, racist, just terrible people.
Yeah.
But Sebastian, so he played soccer he started soccer. That was the first thing he did. 4 years old. Of course, he wants to be like that. But then baseball was an accident. So we signed him up for NYBA. I don't even know if you might have been on the board then. It was what was he, 6 years old? So that was 2004, 2010.
Was this 2022? Not quite.
Gotcha. I'm sure your buddy Dwayne Burt was on the board. Can't stand that fucking.
I know Dwayne.
I'll get to that later. But yeah, we're playing on the Rangers, and for some reason Sebastian just excels at any sport he plays.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of parents end up not liking the coach, and they thought, damn, Sebastian's good. I wonder if his dad played. Hey, you want to coach a team? So I'm like,
I guess.
Sure. I love the Braves. I know baseball.
I got hit in the face a couple times.
Yeah. So we started a team with the NYBA. I think we ended up being a Red Sox or something. And I was terrible, dude. I was very, very bad coach. Yelling, cursing a lot, forcing Sebastian to be something he's not. He's not confrontational.
Yeah.
He just would rather his play speak for his itself, or speak for him. He doesn't like to be like me. I demand people be as good as I see them.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not like that. He'd rather just be in the background and show it.
Well, kids are a science experiment when you're a parent. And with your first kid, you're trying to figure out how to do this thing.
Yes.
Like, you just don't know how to do it, and you're trying different stuff. And you've got I don't want it. I know what I went through, and I don't want it to be some of that, but I do want it to be some of that. And so you're trying to find that balance. But then you have a certain style that you are. And I experienced that myself with Troy when he was young playing. Is like, I was into it. Like, this is the most exciting thing. I'm pumped about going to every game. This is 4-year-old T-ball, and I am like planning for the whole day. Like, I got it all lined out, and then we get on the field and kids start making mistakes because they're going to, because they're 4. And, I'm hollering and screaming and, whatever. And I didn't really cuss much, but I was definitely way more intense and way more fired up about it than I could be. And as the coach's son, like when your son, for me, I was looking at it going, well, I have to make sure that my son I'm harder on him and that he does more than everybody else, or else I start getting viewed at as like, oh, well, that's the coach's kid and this is daddy ball and all that stuff.
I didn't care about that. My thing was, I made it about me too much. Mm-hmm. So it was like, man, if I had somebody pushing me in soccer, like, dude, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. Black dudes playing soccer. Right. Damn sure ain't no support system.
Right.
Me and my buddy Tony Furlow, shout out Tony, we're the only 2 black dudes in the Atlanta metro area that were playing soccer and actually excelling. So I felt like if I had somebody that had the resources and the energy and the passion to push me in soccer, like I was trying to do for Sebastian in baseball, then I wouldn't have missed out, gone to Europe and flopped.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Being out of shape, not knowing the system, all that kind of stuff.
Yep. We're making up for our own shortcomings.
I'm trying to make up for it through him.
I understand.
And I was terrible at it, bro.
Yeah.
Like, terrible. And for him, he didn't mind it though, which was weird. But a lot of people around minded it.
Sure.
So, and I obviously didn't know what I was doing. I knew it's the difference between knowing baseball and knowing how to teach it. At that time, I had no idea how to teach it. I was just flying by the seat of my pants, and just being blessed that I had a connection with kids. I don't know why, but kids just love being around me. So it was working. It was working. It was not working. He was drawing talent just because he was good. So I really didn't have to recruit much. Kids wanted to play with him. Kids wanted to play with who I call my nephew, Colton Clausen. Shout out Chad Clausen, my big brother. People wanted to play with Noah Johnson and a lot of the kids I had on the team. And needless to say, I know a lot of people try to shy away from things like this, but races follow each other. Mm-hmm. Like Hispanics teams, they're gonna want to go play for Hispanics.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
black families, they want to play with other black families.
Yeah,
so I'm getting a lot of good athletes.
Yeah, well, it's a. I don't even know. I mean, you could say it's a race thing because it certainly can be part of it, but it's a cultural thing. It's wherever you're comfortable and what you grew up around. Like if you're a black kid and you grew up in a white neighborhood and it's all, suburbanite white kids, then that's where you feel comfortable.
Exactly.
Right.
But people so taboo. They don't want to talk. Oh, you're racist if you say something like that, or let's not talk about that, bro. It is what it is.
No, I look in real estate. I do real estate, right? When you have an agent that's Asian, or you have an agent that's black, or you have an agent that's Hispanic, and they're selling to that population, the vast majority of their clients mirror themselves, right? I mean, that's just what it is.
I don't think people intentionally do it. It's
just comfortable. It's just what you're used to. That's all it is. It's just culture. And that's why even when I always laugh when people say, I don't see color. I'm like,
that's so, I can't stand that, Mike.
What are you talking about? How can you not see color? You don't see height? Do you not see weight? Do you not when we describe people and like at home, where my son's telling me a story about a kid, whatever, I'm like, well, who is it? He's like, well, I don't know. What does he look like? Well, he's got dark hair. Is he a black kid, white kid, Hispanic kid? Is this kid, blah, blah, blah.
People so scared to say,
it's just, you're black? Describing a person.
Is he white?
That's it. That's all it is.
Someone says, hey man, Mike Mills? I'm like, yeah, kind of tall, bald head, white dude.
That's it.
I don't have no problem saying white dude, but you see people in their faces, bro. When you ask them to describe someone, if it's not of their race, they're terrified.
Well, and then you have I tell this to my kids all the time. Words are words. That's all they are. They're always words. They're sounds that come from your mouth that describe things. Right. Okay. The intent behind your words is what matters.
Yes.
Right. If you say that black guy, if you say that, okay, well, that's different because your intent is different.
Right.
When you're describing someone or having a conversation about somebody and you're using descriptive words about their culture, or where they're from or whatever, that's not a negative thing. Right. That's just you talking about or with someone else. So it always comes back to what are the words, what are the intent behind your words that you're trying to put onto people. And that's the importance of it. Because I don't let my kids cuss in front of us simply out of respect, not because they're just words.
Yes.
But when my son's in the back seat and he goes, that freaking, I'm like, hey, freaking is the same as the other word. Right. The difference is that it doesn't sound like it, but the intent that you're using is for the same thing.
And I just wish people would stop being so scared to say how they feel. And I mean, you don't have to be disrespectful in saying how you feel. Like what Kevin just said, likes attracts likes. Yes, it is what it is. Sebastian, brown-skinned kid, dad, brown-skinned kid, man, he's fast. Speed's gonna attract speed, right? Power's gonna attract power. Whatever, it is what it is. I just don't like the fact that people get scared, or then they label you because you don't have a fear of saying what other people want to say, just scared to say it.
Right.
So well,
that's part of what separates us too, is because people are afraid to talk.
Like a lot of people say, well, you can't be pro-black because you got a white wife, or what? So you're telling me God put someone here for me, don't matter what color it is. These same people who are supposed to be Christian and go to church every Sunday, or be like, well, you can't be this because you're associated with this. Bro, you're such a contradiction.
Right.
Like, how can you go to church, say you're a Christian, and then turn around and say stuff like that?
I'm getting a shirt made that says, worry about yourself.
Right.
Because if more people spent more time
Yes.
worrying about themselves and being better people and not worrying about what everybody else is doing all the time and what they're doing or what they're not doing or who they're spending their time with,
Yeah.
the world would be a way better place.
It would. I mean, look at the dynamic of my small circle. Sebastian's godfather is white. Gabby's godmother, Hispanic. Shale's godfather, Jewish. I don't care what color you are. I see color.
Yeah.
But I see a man. Like, look at us. Who would think that I would open myself up to some dude, some white dude I've known for 6-7 months?
White banker guy.
Because I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
You're real. Real attracts real.
Mhm.
I honestly think you're a real dude. Otherwise, I wouldn't even wasting my time.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think you're out to get me. I think you actually want to help me with my mission. So it shouldn't matter what color you are.
Mhm.
I don't care, bro. I don't like adults at all. I don't, because I just don't trust them.
Adults can't suck, that's for sure.
But there's a handful of people that I'll ride with, adults, and it looks like Mike Mills will be one of those people, just like Marcus Styles is.
Well, okay, so
Hendricks, Pope, Ben Hewlett, all those.
that gets me to something I wanted to ask you about, because one of the things that I don't think people from the outside, because before I came to play with you guys, by the way, the way I got to you was just completely random. We were playing with another organization that we weren't happy with, and we're looking for something else. And some other teammates that we had on our team came with you guys, and they actually found you. And we just came along for the ride.
Shout out Christy Vargas, Brittany.
That's right. So we're sitting there. We go to your first practice, and
it's phenomenal, isn't it?
I mean, look, you're a confident human being, but you have the right to be, because yes, it was and by the way, I coached baseball myself for a long time, and I've considered myself to be pretty good at it. I knew I had limitations, but still figured I was pretty good. The best practice I'd ever been to, like by a mile. Even my wife, who is sitting there with me, who's been with me through all this youth sports stuff, she sits next to me. She's like, I don't go to many practices and many games, but this is the best thing I've ever seen. Like, we're sitting there talking about it as it's going on. And we get to the end of it, and we're walking out, and King's with us, and Ivan, we're all walking out together. And King and Ivan are like, we want to play with these guys. They were pumped. They want to play with these kids. And Troy looks at me and he's like, I think I want to do too. And I was like, I told him straight up in front of King and Evan, I was like, you're not good enough to be on this team. Like, I'm down with that, but you're not good enough. Like, you have to be ready for the fact that you're going to sit on the bench, you're going to hit at the bottom of the lineup, and you're going to have to work just to earn any kind of level of what you want to get. And I told him at the time, I was like, we're about to start football season. Why don't you stay with this other group, and because they're not as serious about it, and let's just take it easy on baseball, and then we'll go figure it out in the spring. And to his credit, in front of his friends and in front of his mother and me too, he's like, I don't want that. I want to earn it. I want this. This is what I want. And
Troy, I love you for that, bro.
And he saw it as a 12-year-old kid at the time. Like, it was something he saw, like he wanted to be a part of that. And so my point of that is like, I was so impressed with that. And that was baseball. Right. And then once I got into your organization and I met all of the people around your organization, it took my reverence for you and just raised it up, because, what's the saying? Like, you're a combination of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with or whatever. And when you see everybody around you, and not only just the humans themselves, but the diversity of everybody, there isn't.
We have the most diverse organization in the state of Texas.
Absolutely. And not only that, but everybody that was there was committed to being there. Like, your board is amazing.
Yes.
The first time I met Marco, I was like, this is one of the best guys I met, because he's such a genuine guy, and he gets so pumped up for the kids. And
Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame hype man.
He is the hype man of the century. Like,
get a man a green jacket.
Yes. And then you meet a guy like Ben, who helps with all the uniforms and how engaged he is in the entire process.
That's my money man.
And Bridget, and and
Heather, Evan, Amy,
all of them.
Yep.
And I look at that and I go, okay, and don't get me wrong, one other little story I'll tell is when we went to the first tournament that we played with y'all, is like the tryout tournament, right? We're going there. Troy plays a little bit. I kind of see how things run. We have a bit of an issue with the team that I had been associated with, not the team, but the kids, some of the kids, and there was a whole thing.
I don't like y'all. We ain't gonna say y'all.
No.
Pub, but.
So So that was awkward for me because it's like, okay, I'm stuck in the middle of this thing. But then afterwards, the team didn't play that well. And I'd seen them at practice and seen how good they were. And then we got to the game and I think there was a good game. And then the next one wasn't so great. And you were frustrated by it.
Yes.
And, you, for lack of a better word, lost your shit on them a little bit at the end. And my wife and I are standing there, and like me, the way I am, I'm smiling. Like, I think this is amazing because there's a difference between talking like you were talking to a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old versus a 12 or 13 or 14-year-old. We don't treat kids all the way through because they change, right? And you have to adapt to that. And I'm sure there are times where you say things or do things you regret or don't want to do or whatever, but we all do that. But the bottom line is like you were being real with those kids and you were telling them how you felt in that moment. And then after you were done ripping them, you brought them all up. You hugged every single one of them as a group, told them how much you loved them and how much you appreciated them and how we were going to continue to get better. And the reason that you were doing this is because it mattered to you, what they represented to themselves.
Yes.
That was when I just went, man, this is the guy. Like this guy is okay to sit there and tell these kids the truth about their performance and what they did.
I'll always tell them the truth.
But then also turn around and remind them how much he loves them for that reason as well. And you can see because of the organization that you've built and the people around you that others have gravitated to this over the years. And that's the thing as a parent that I took away and was like, this is where I want my son to be. And it has, look, his baseball skills have gone through the roof. That's not even it though. Like I love that and that's great, but that's not it. I wanted him to be somewhere where his human skills became better.
He wants to be a star now.
Yeah.
He didn't have that confidence, bro, in the beginning. This fool loves the camera now.
Yeah,
and the last 2 times we tested him, he stepped up.
Did it. So with the organization itself, how did it start from building that and finding those people and putting those pieces in place?
It was luck. Oh, damn it. My bad, God. It wasn't luck. It was you. So first of all, thanks for saying that because it also shows the growth where I've come from. Because I was bad, Mike, with Mansfield Venom, which is the first team I started.
Okay.
See the tattoo right
there? Yeah.
Mansfield
Gotcha.
Venom. I was bad, dude.
Hey, we all learn, right?
I loved kids, but the way I expressed it was very, very rough, abrasive. But I was a kid myself.
Yeah.
I think I was barely late 20s or whatever. And
it's not like the life that you had experienced going through was all warm hugs and fuzzies, right? No. Like you grown up in a different, yeah.
And I was still hanging on to my, as if I was a basketball player, I'd say hoop dreams. I was still hanging on to my soccer dreams. I was playing adult league D1, trying to keep up with teenagers and everything. So my ego was out of control.
Yeah.
I'm also trying to, I wouldn't say live through Sebastian, but I was trying to give him everything that I didn't have to get him to where I thought he could be.
Yeah. Well, I think any parents that are involved in that, I think that's very normal. I don't think that's different.
Because I don't live, why would I live through someone who hasn't even experienced a tenth of what I experienced?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mandy got pregnant with Shell, and I had to step away from coaching. And at this time, Sebastian was like, Dad, as soon as you're done coaching baseball, I'm done too. He's like, I don't want to play for anybody else. So that was, it wasn't like a stab in the heart because he still plays soccer too.
Yeah.
He was like, I want to focus on soccer. I want to be just like you. I want to follow soccer. So I was like, all right, cool.
But you got to have respect for that too, man, because kids, more often than not, they don't know what they want to do.
Right.
So when a kid comes and tells you, hey, this is what I want to do.
Yeah, he told me at 10 years old.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to say no.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Especially it's my first love.
Yeah.
So, of course, I do everything in my power to get him with the right people. Keith Reynolds, Carlos Balderas, a few other people. And I hand him over.
Mm-hmm.
So Shell's born. We're taking care of Shell. And I think he was about 1.5 years old. And I go to a random birthday party. I can't even remember why I was at the birthday party. I was invited or something. and it was a paintball birthday party. Well, of course, I don't like adults. I'm hanging out with the kids.
Right.
And one of the dads was like, dude, man, you're so good with kids, man. Hey, we're trying to start this team up. Would you want to coach this baseball team? At first, I was like, shh, I'm not ready to go back to baseball.
Yeah.
You know, just because I knew how I was before. But then I was like, you know what? Sure. So, and this was with the TC Patriots, Doug Mummy's organization.
We played with him for
He's a great man.
a season or two with Coach Pete.
Yes.
Yep.
Coach Pete.
Great
yes.
dude.
Doug is a awesome human being. He gave me an opportunity to run the team. Not only that, he freaking paid me. I never played the game.
That's pretty good gig.
You know, whatever, and he's willing to pay me to, you know, coach this team. So I'm like, cool, let's get it. But out of respect for him, I'm not gonna take this guy's money, right? I started studying. I was blessed to, I wouldn't say bump into, but God put the right people in my path to help me get to where the guy sitting at this table is right now. I'm not going to name drop. That's not who I am. But they're very influential people in the baseball world, professionally, college-wise or whatever. They saw something in me. They saw how kids reacted to me, and they took a chance on me, and they helped me a lot. I will drop one name, Ryan Sullins and Jeff Johnson, two names. Two guys who taught me how to teach kids how to pitch.
Well, when you talking earlier about how you're not going to lie to the kids, you're going to tell them the truth, whatever the truth is. In all my years dealing with this stuff and teaching, you know, I taught teachers how to teach kids. Right. And that is something that kids don't miss. If they know that you're being real with them,
yes,
you know, and they're whatever words you're saying, whatever it is, it's your truth. You're not going, hey buddy, how you doing? If you're the real person that you are with them, they know.
Right.
They know. And it's just instinctual. And so when they feel that, they feel comfortable. Right. They feel like this person isn't presenting something that they aren't. And that's not something you can fake. And that's the thing about kids. That's why kids are so great, because they're honest. They're truthful. There is no like, they'll say no, there's no filter. They'll do and say whatever they want. And you can't pretend with kids. You have to be what you are, or they won't listen and they won't follow.
They won't perform for you.
Yeah.
And I also think it helps that they see that I can do everything I ask them to do.
Yes.
Whether it's ground the ball, whether it's make a flick throw, whether it's hit a 300-foot bomb or throw strikes consistently. I think that's a lot of the keys to why I'm pretty good at what I do, because they see I'm not just dude sitting on a bucket, telling them what to do, and they can't even do it. These kids are different than what we grew up in. Like, we're about the same age. We didn't have to visually see an adult do something in order for us to listen. You better listen, period.
Well, you didn't have any other options.
You didn't have no options.
I mean, we talked about that before. It's like when we were kids, you go to the doctor,
yes,
right? You're sitting in the doctor's office for 2.5 hours waiting to get your appointment. You're just sitting there. And if you're making noise, your mom is smacking you in the head, telling you shut up. Right. So you're sitting, being quiet, listening, or, you know, whatever. I grew up in a family where I was the oldest kid, like of the next generation or whatever. So every Sunday my family would get together and they would have a dinner. Yeah. And it would be my aunts and uncles and grandparents and parents and, you know, their friends and whatever. And I was like one of the only kids there. And there wasn't go to my room and play my video games. There wasn't whatever. If the TV was on, it was on like a football game or something. And so my options were to sit by myself in the corner and do nothing, or sit at a table with adults and just listen. Right. And I didn't understand 90% of what they were talking about, but that's how I developed my ability to communicate. That's how I developed my ability to recognize people and for what they are and what they say, is because you didn't have a choice. And I think it's kind of shitty these days that we as adults say, oh, the kid's this and the kid's that and the kid's this. Well, who raised the kids? Like, we did, right?
We did.
So if your kid's an asshole, like, that's on you. Like, you made that, you did that. And so, you know, we provide them with phones and we provide them with televisions and iPads and all these other distractions. And they have their value, and nothing I don't think is black and white. It's not evil, it's not good. It's a tool just like anything else, and it's how you use the tool. But when they have all that, it makes parenting that much harder, because you have to compete with the noise that they hear in all other areas, and you have to compete for attention to get them to focus on what they're doing. There's a reason, in my experience at least, there is a reason that when you have two boys, the oldest and the youngest, or I should say the second usually, is always the better athlete.
Bruh.
Always.
Chill.
Okay? No offense, Sebastian. But always, not because they're better, but because they're at every game, they're at every practice, they're sitting there watching, and boys are competitive, so they want to punch up. I want to beat them. I want to be better. I want to, and that's my hero to some extent, depending on the ages and what they look, and what the separation is. So there's either competition, or that's like another dad, right? Maybe in Shale's case, that's kind of what it is, because Sebastian's older. So that is just to prove my point that the kid's exposure to things is what drives them to be, when I watched Walter Payton run the ball as a kid, I wanted to play football because that's what I saw on TV. But if they're playing video games and they're playing Fortnite and they're doing all these other things, they're not going to have the same level of attention and desire to do the sports and everything else, because they're just not exposed to it at the same degree. And their attention span is nothing.
It is.
You can't keep their attention for longer than a couple of minutes. And again, that's our fault, because adults' attention span sucks now too, because we're on TikTok flowing through and looking at,
my attention span is terrible.
It's awful. It's awful.
I read books backwards.
Yeah.
Just because I get bored in 2 seconds reading forward. But I did want to go back to something you said, dude. TikTok is evil.
Yeah, well, it is evil. I mean,
super evil.
It's tracking all your
shit. That's going to be on our next show about conspiracy theories.
Absolutely.
But yeah, kids are visual, so they see Coach Jamiyl, like I did the other day, struck out all of them. For 4 innings straight,
and talking smack the whole time, by the way, which was great.
Yes, that drives them nuts.
Oh yeah, they hate
so
that.
It drives them to be better.
Yes, because they want to prove you wrong.
Who wants to listen to some big out of shape dude sitting on the bucket? And no offense to you out of shape coaches sitting on the buckets, but kids are visual. They are competitive. They want to try adults. So I welcome it.
Yeah.
You want to try me? Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
If my back holds up, there's nothing you can beat me at. No kid in America can beat me at shit. If my back is good and my knees are warm, you're not beating me, bro.
Well, that's my wife used to give me a hard time, because Troy, we would play Madden, and I would kick his ass. Like, I'd destroy him every time.
Yes.
And he would get so mad. Like, he would cry, get pissed off.
I went through 4 controllers on Sebastian.
Yes. And my wife's like, can't you just let him win? I'm like, no. What good is that going to do? Like, when he beats me, the day that he beats me, which he has beat me, the day that he beats me will be the best day of his life at that point.
And now Sebastian beats me all the time.
Yeah, now I give my
butt Madden.
I'm terrible. Yeah, I'm terrible.
But the wives, let us do what men do.
That's right.
We got to break these boys down.
Yep.
So I heard the same thing from my wife. Why you got to make, like, we wouldn't talk for 2 or 3 days, because I'm making my 7-year-old Sebastian cry because I'm beating the crap out of him on Madden or whatever we're playing.
Yep.
The only drawback is maybe I create a little bit of anxiety, but it'll be all right.
You'll be all right.
But yeah, man, I guess I know for a fact it's God working through me how I can affect these kids. Because how else to explain what I'm able to do? You know what I'm saying? I never touched a baseball past 9.
Yeah.
But you've seen I can make any play.
I'm telling you, man, I was, when I heard that you were a soccer player, it blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, what? How is this guy who's so focused on details, which we'll get to in a second too, because I want to ask you about that, but how is somebody that's so incredibly focused on details about where to have your glove placement, the type of throw that you're making in the certain type of situation. And, Troy's a catcher, and I've worked with him. I caught, and that was a thing that I was passionate about. And your attention to detail with your catchers about identifying, okay, what is this hitter doing? Like, you're not talking about just moving your hips to get the ball. I mean, that's all part of it too. The skills are part of it, but it's like, there's a brain aspect to it. You got to think about what's happening. And that's the thing that I see so much that I just love about what you do is, I'm going to teach you how to field a ground ball. I'm going to teach you how to hit a ball. I'm going to teach you how to do these things, teach you how to pitch, but I'm also going to teach you how to think. Okay. Because in baseball, there's pressure, and there's a lot going on at one time. It's a slow game. It moves slowly if you're not paying attention, but there's a lot happening. And when you're talking about how to set up a hitter inside and out with the catchers and identifying this particular hitter's swing, how does this particular hitter try to approach a ball? And then you need to adjust your approach to their approach. And that kind of detail and that kind of information kids don't get at this age because, and I think it's because adults think they can't handle it.
Right.
We think it's too much, right?
Yes. And I think that's
It's not
part
true.
of the problem with society. No.
Yeah.
So another reason I say I don't like adults because they contradict themselves too much. So when we were growing up, right, what did they tell us? What did teachers and society relate a 4 or 5-year-old to when it comes to education?
Babies.
No, like they would say sponge, right?
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're taking a lot of information. Sure.
So how you gonna tell me that a 7 or 8-year-old is too young for me to teach the way I teach? But when they go to school, you'll tell them
they absorb everything.
They absorb everything. Like, come on, bro. You can't have it both ways because you don't want me to be hard on your son.
I got you one better. Okay. So let's go back to Roman times.
Right.
All right. And we're living in a village together, you and me and our families. Okay. And there's always a constant threat of the village 2 miles away coming over and taking our shit.
Yep.
Right. At what point do I have to teach my son or my daughter, whatever the case may be in that situation, to be ready to defend themselves in that environment?
Immediately.
Right. Immediately. There is no coddling. There is no time because it's life and death.
Yes.
Okay. And that's why you had, kids that are fighting wars at 12 and 11 and 10. I mean, they're out there because they can hold a spear and they can hold a whatever. That's what they were doing. Now, granted, we don't live in those times anymore. Thank God. Right. We are civilized society for the most part. So, but it doesn't change the child's ability to learn.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. The child can learn if they're exposed to the information. It's the same in a negative way. It's the same thing when you have a kid that grows up in a really bad situation, maybe no parents or one parent or abusive, whatever the case may be. That kid grows up real fast.
Yes.
Real fast because they don't have a choice. There's no choice.
Yes.
So, and I'm not advocating for putting your kids in dangerous situations or I'm just saying what you're saying, which is they are capable. Okay.
They are.
If you give them the opportunity, they will excel in most cases, especially if it's done the right way.
This generation of parents, not our age, I think the kid more in like the 20s and 30s, those adults don't give kids enough credit, or they don't believe in their child enough, which is why I believe kids are attracted to being around me and learning from me because I believe in a kid.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
You show me one thing and I got you. Because dude, we can do whatever we want to do. At 9 years old, not because I was in an abusive family or anything, but both my parents worked. If I wanted to eat, I had to cook.
Yeah.
I'm 9 years old.
Yeah, they weren't there.
I'm 9 years old, cooking on the stove, feeding my little sister, having a meal ready for my parents when they got home. Didn't have a choice.
Right.
Now, my mom would cook when, she had the opportunity. Great cook. But sometimes in order for me to do some of the stuff I had to do, both my parents worked constantly. My dad worked double shifts. So I cooked. I'm 9 years old. How many people? My wife won't even let Shell be in the kitchen without one of us.
Yeah, I know.
He's constantly wanting to cook.
Yeah.
Last night, he helped me cook because I'm running back and forth from the bathroom with the stupid stomach virus. And dude, he's literally cooking eggs, bacon, and home fries. One hand shaking the egg to make sure it would see if it was ready to flip. Yeah. Because I told him, hey, if it's still jiggly and wet, you can't flip it yet.
Yeah.
So he's doing that, stirring the home fries so they're gonna stick to the skillet. Dude, he just turned 8.
He's going Ratatouille style in there.
Yeah. So you gotta let kids,
try. Yeah.
You gotta let them try.
And you gotta let them fail.
Right.
Right. And that's the thing too, that, with you watching your practices and seeing what you do is, and I have another example. So the other day we were at a practice indoors at your place. And by the way, if anybody does, I go to all the practices. I sit there and watch because it's not just because, I'm an overbearing dad, but just because, which I am, but just because I I want to see, like, that's my son. Like, that's one of the most important things in my life. Like, I want to see what he's doing every day and what he spends time. And by the way, my time's limited. He's going to be gone in 7 years. I'm not gonna be able to do it. So anyway, I'm sitting there and y'all are working on pitching. And there was something when you were doing where you had them throwing from their knee and you wanted their hips opened up to a certain extent when they were trying to throw the ball.
Yeah, and the get up drill.
Right. And so you had sat there and you had told everybody and you'd showed them what to do. You were doing it yourself on what you wanted to do. Troy was the first one to go. So he gets up on the mound and he goes to get into position to throw, and you go, stop. Everybody stop. And then you said, everybody move over to the other side of the room. And you're like, Troy, don't move. Stay right where you're at. Everybody go over. So this is like a whole thing, right? You know, everybody's stopping. What's going on? So you get over there and you're like, I just showed you how to do this. I just went through it 3 seconds ago. And the first guy that gets up there is doing it wrong. Right. And I mean, you know, he's being embarrassed. Okay. Which I'm 100% on board with, but he, you know, you can see it in his face. Like, oh crap, you know, what did I do? What did I do? And so you then proceed to, this is what I want you to do. This is how I want you to do it. And you're asking the kids, what is he doing wrong? What is he doing? Not just tell him, like, you tell me, I just told you this. What is he doing wrong? And they had to answer the questions. Of course, with kids, they're like, oh, I think, and you're like, nope, that's not it. What's it? You know? And so then the part that people would miss is that you had them all like get on their knee again, right in the spot that they were, and start working on what they were doing. And then you went over to Troy and you sat there with him for 3 or 4 minutes and went back through using him physically to show him what to do. So in my opinion, as a parent, you sat there and you made an example out of him, which I'm on board with 100%. And then you went over there and you're just like, hey man, I'm going to show you how to do this right because I love you, because I want you to be good at this. So here's how we do it. And the confidence that kids gain from that, because like, look, I'm going to tell you that you were wrong, and I'm going to use it as a teaching moment to show everybody else how this is working, because this sense of embarrassment that you got, you don't like that, do you? It's not fun. So what you need to do is listen. When I'm telling you something, when I'm teaching you something, or when you're in a situation where things matter, listen, pay attention, because it's going to affect you later. And I just showed you how it was going to affect you later. But now that we've taught that lesson, now let me show you how to do it right.
Then pow, pow, strike.
And then boom.
I think another reason, I'm not saying that I try to embarrass the kids, but another reason I put the light on them when I'm correcting them is because it builds that mental toughness where they're in a game and they do something that they shouldn't do, or it affects the outcome.
Yeah.
They get over it quicker.
Got to be tough.
You're going to have other kids talking crap to you. You're going to have parents running their mouth. And then you're going to have this light work, dude. Coach Jamiyl.
Yeah. That's why I tell both of my kids all the time. I say, if I'm the worst thing that's ever happened to you in life, then your life is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, if me being a jerk to you a lot of times when you're growing up is the worst thing that's ever happened to you, then you're living a charmed life, baby.
And which is why we can go home and tell our wives tonight, like, you remember we used to make our boys cry playing video games?
Yeah.
Look at them now.
Look at them. Yeah.
Sebastian's out there playing. Dudes are calling them all kind of stuff. And
run right off his back.
Yeah. And what he does is he shuts them down. Bro, you won't touch the ball again for the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You got to let these kids like explore their mental side, their physical side, their emotional side, so you can have a well-rounded human being, which is why I focus on detail so much, because we all think our kids are going pro, but they're not.
No.
But if you can pay attention to detail in everything in life, you can be competitive in whatever you do.
I think that's where the parents that aren't involved in sports with their kids, they don't understand. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying that some people are into it and some people aren't. But I think the thing that kids miss, or parents miss, is that, and I tell this to everybody I talk to, is that, to me, if my kids play in high school, I'd be thrilled. Okay. If they make my daughter's playing the freshman right now, volleyball, you know, trial for varsity next year, like, we'll see what happens. And son's started 7th grade quarterback. Great. They were terrible, but you know, and as they go through, like, all that stuff's wonderful. And if they go to college, like, they're in nothing. I say all the time, your kid has to have talent and they have to have desire. And if they don't have those two things, you can't give it to them. And if you can't give it to them, they're not going to go play in college. Okay. So, but that's not what I'm wrapped up in. What I'm wrapped up in is that sports is a conduit. It's a scaffolding for life. Okay. You're going to fail. You're going to get cheated because some umpire doesn't call the play right or misses it, or some team's acting a fool or whatever. You're going to get hurt.
Yep.
You're going to have to get back up. You're going to be put under a lot of pressure. There's stands of people. Like pitching in baseball, to me, is one of the hardest things to do.
It definitely is.
Because you are literally an island, because that's what it looks like. You're standing on this bump, and there's 50 or 60 people in the crowd, and half of them want you to have success and half of them want you to fail. And you've got a bunch of people behind you that are relying on you to do your job. And if you don't, then you're the kicker that misses the field goal in the Super Bowl, right? You didn't do your job, you failed. And if you do, then you get all the adulation.
And how well you are also depends on two guys in the field.
Yes.
That are supposed to be unbiased.
Exactly. And so
it's not just all on you.
The pressure, that environment, the only duplication to that exists on the planet, in my mind, is what you went through, going through the military and going into war. Because and this is to some degree, and I look at it as a man thing, sort of,
yes.
But women can apply as well, or it applies to women as well in some cases. Is you have to. Nobody's going to make excuses for you. Nobody's going to help you move through. You're there on your own.
Right.
Like, you got to make it work. And put in that environment and having to deal with those challenges is what really makes people ultimately successful. Because when you encounter that later on and you go through that in another aspect of your life, you've already dealt with it. And I think to some degree worse than what you would be at a job or anything else. Because you're like, man, I made the big mistake. I threw the ball, walked the run home, gave up the final run. My team lost. Like, that crushing defeat and what occurred in that situation. I don't want my kids to have loss. I don't want them to go to war. I don't want them to do that stuff. So that's the closest.
Definitely don't want my kids in the military.
Right. That I can get to creating that type of situation is through sports. And so for me, having my kids involved in that and going through all those trials and tribulations is what is so important, and the lessons that they learn about making them successful adults and successful humans. And that's my goal.
And
always.
That's what I'm trying to bring to 817. Like, everybody uses the cliche, oh, it's more than baseball. No, dude, in our organization,
it 100% is.
It's more than baseball.
It absolutely is.
I'm bringing everything in my life, from how I grew up to being in the military to being inside a prison for 20 years, where sometimes I didn't know if I was going to make it home. I'm bringing all that emotion and learning and experience and passing it on to these kids, because schools don't do it.
No,
they don't teach you about life. A lot of parents don't teach about real life. They teach about,
nobody taught them.
Exactly. They teach about fake life, TV life, social media life, not real life experience. And that's why my organization, I don't even want it to get big, but I don't think it would ever grow to where someone who was out to be huge and make a lot of money off of it, it will never be that, just because how we run it.
Yeah. Well, those things take care of themselves.
Yeah. It's just not a good fit for everybody.
Yeah.
But in saying that, come see before you go off of what you hear.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Come see who I really am.
But to be fair, like you said earlier, you've changed a lot.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you've grown up a lot.
I'm not the Mansfield Venom coach.
Right.
I'm not even the TC Patriots coach.
Right. And that's the thing, is like, what you were and what you are two different people. But I mean, that should be everybody's life. Like, if you're not constantly adapting and changing and modifying your mindset and what you do, then what are you doing? Right. We're all here to grow. And you're just saying, hey, look, we've grown. We're different.
Right.
Come check it out.
I spend a lot of money on growing.
Yeah.
Like, in the Black culture, bro, you don't go to see a therapist.
Yeah.
You go see a pastor,
a
deacon, or a grandma or grandpa. You don't go to the therapist, bro.
Right.
It's not a part of our culture. But in order for me to be good husband, father, coach, I had to put my pride aside and be like, man, I need to go pay to see a therapist, right? In order for me to be a good coach, I need to go pay to go to these camps. I need to go pay to get certified to do this, because there are always going to be people out there to be like, why are you guys taking your kid to this dude? He don't even know the game. Well, why don't you come see first? And then I got the paperwork to back it up.
Yeah.
You can't deny it now. And if you do, it's just because you just don't like me.
Yeah.
Which is
Which
cool.
that's okay.
That's cool.
Everybody's not for everybody.
Everybody's not for everybody.
No, everybody has their own likes and preferences, and and I totally understand that. And there's no reason. Why would you try to spend time convincing someone to like you? Again, worry about yourself.
Right.
Like if they don't like you, okay, that's fine. No hate, no whatever. Just I'll go about my life. You go about your life, and we'll call it a day.
I'm kind of weird with that because I actually don't give a shit what people think about me, but I want my respect, if that makes sense. Like, I let a lot of stuff bother me that shouldn't because I think it's disrespectful.
Yeah.
Like, you tell me, like, Mike, you could say, man, you could say, Jamiyl, I respect you, but I really can't stand you. Dude, I dap you up, hug you, take you out to dinner just because you're being honest.
Yeah.
I don't want people to like me.
Yeah.
I don't. As long as my family, the kids I train, I don't even care if the parents that allow me to train their kids like me. I really don't. As long as those kids like me, my family likes me, I'm good. But I need to be respected.
Yeah.
Don't be disrespectful. And I guess that comes back from me working in the prison, how I grew up.
Military too. It's all
super, dude.
It's all
respect is so lost now.
Yeah.
Super lost. And I can't. It bothers me so much.
It's funny. I think in the Black culture, respect plays a big role in a lot of ways. But see,
it used to.
It also plays a role in the white culture, if that's a thing, but it's worded different.
Right.
It's called being polite, being nice.
Yeah.
And no, for real. Because like my wife, for example, right? She's from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Okay.
Creole.
South Louisiana as you can get. Parents went to LSU, dad grew up working on a plantation, like all kinds of like ways down south. And they're the nicest, most polite, wonderful people that you've ever met in your life.
Right.
And the thing that is most important to my wife is not, don't get me wrong, grades and all that stuff, but you want to see her lose her shit, and don't say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, or thank you, or hold the door, or whatever. Like, just treat people, with respect. Be kind, be nice to people, because that gets you a long way.
I haven't met your daughter yet, but he got it down to a T, bro.
Well, that's because his mama and me a little bit drove that into his head for a long, long time. And that's just not something that she will tolerate on any level. And you call it respect, call it polite, call it whatever you want to call it. It's just a mutual understanding for other people in life to be nice. And when we're driving down the road, or when I hold the door for somebody and they walk by and they don't say thank you.
Yeah. That drives me
nuts.
That
makes me mad. Like, I'm like, dude, like, just say thank you. Like, it's not that hard.
I started saying stuff to people when I did.
Yeah. You're welcome.
No, I'd be like, you're not gonna say thank you?
Yes.
And then they just look at me funny.
But it's the same. It's the same.
Respect,
yeah, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
And we'd subconsciously, like you said, pulling the door. I don't even know that I'm doing it. I just do it.
Just do it.
Because that's how I was raised.
That's right.
But it's a different world now, man.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
Well, what are you trying to do? Like, when you're looking at 817 and where it is, and let's tell everybody real quick. So you've got, how many teams we got right now?
7
teams. What are their ages?
We got 16U, 2 14s, 13, 12, 11, and 10.
Okay. So our 14s is the oldest, right? Or did you say 16?
16.
16.
Our JV team.
And we go all the way down to 10U. Are you have any plans of getting any younger? Or you like that age to start with, or what are your thoughts on that?
I would like to do a 7 and 8. Brittany Carlock, she's her and Matthew are on me about 7 and 8 year olds.
Okay.
It's the only thing is, man, finding people I can trust, which brings me back to your buddy Dwayne Burt.
All right, real quick before you rail on Dwayne, I know Dwayne. I like Dwayne. I've never had any issues with him whatsoever. Him and I were on the board together for a long time, but everybody interrelates with everybody differently.
Yes.
So
yeah. No, I'm not gonna get into it. That's petty. But it just goes to my point where you can't find people. I can't find people I can trust to be what I am and the vision for 817.
Well, you've done a great job so far, because the coaches that I've seen that work with you guys, Matt, Jalen, like those guys that are there.
You just came at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was the and I forget the 14's coach,
Dan Hopkins.
Dan.
Yeah, Shell's coach.
Dude, great. Just we went out there and played in that 14U tournament that one time, and Troy was not having a good day, and he was awesome. I mean, phenomenal for him, and gave him a ton of confidence. It wasn't down on him, you know, all the stuff that was happening because he was playing up and all that. But he's a great human being.
He's military too.
Yes,
he grew up super rough, probably rougher than I did.
And I haven't, you know, just that group of guys that you have there and their commitment to it. And I even asked you once, you know, because Matt's one of our coaches on the 13s and his son plays on the team. And I had a concern coming in, like, are we going into daddy ball again? You know, because this is not necessarily because of Matt, but just the situation.
You can't even tell that's just.
I didn't know. You can't, not at all. I forget. I always forget that's like he has a son on the team because he's committed to every single kid on the team. He never. I don't even think he really interacts.
He doesn't even interact with Isaiah.
No, not hardly at all. So,
and that goes towards his trust. He trusts me with him.
Yeah, well, the group of guys that you've put together, and the group and the board, and just your entire organization, and I know
Pedro, shout out Pedro Maldonado.
I know that you have built this, and you call it luck or God, and it all plays a role in what's come to it. But it's you. You know, you got to understand that they gravitate. Good people gravitate to good people, and that's what happens. So it has to have somebody at the top that has a vision, that wants to see where it's going, that knows what they want, and then people will follow that. Always.
Did y'all hear that? Mike Mills said, "I'm a good guy." So why do so many people not believe it or not like me?
Well, see, you say that. I hear that from you, or I should say, I see that on Facebook a lot, and I don't live in your world, so obviously I don't know, but I don't see it. Like, I never see it.
Next tournament we play, I want you to watch everything. Watch the plate meeting. Watch how I would say 90% of the coaches either won't shake my hand or they won't look at me when they shake my hand. Like, if you do, I hate to keep bringing back up the prison, but if you don't look at a dude in the eyes,
you got problems.
You got problems, bro.
Yeah. Well,
my dad taught me.
There was one instance where I was at home with Susan, and she's like, "Did you see this?" And I'm like, "See what?" She's like, "Did something happen with Jamiyl?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just saw him like 2 hours ago. Like, everything's fine." And she's like, "Well, this is saying something about he's involved with the police."
Yep.
And I'm like, "What are you looking?" And she shows me a picture of it, and I don't know where she got it. Somebody sent it to her because again, I'm in the world. Like, you know, I have people that I know from all walks of baseball and whatever, and so, you know, and they know where I play. Where are you playing? I'm over here. And so I saw the picture, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's talking to the kids, and there's a police officer standing behind him, who's probably a dad, like, because, by the way, you have multiple police officers that play in your organization, and so I was like, this is horseshit. Like, this isn't whatever they're claiming it is. And I don't know who did that.
No, we'll get to that, because, like, I'm an open book, man. I don't like rumors. I don't like people painting a narrative, which somebody tried to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that picture.
Absolutely.
So what happened was, we were at a tournament. I was with my 12s, and see, people don't even know what led up to it, the backstory. So there's 4 umpires, right? And 2 of them are trying to argue over who's going to work the game.
Yeah.
And the 2 guys that are actually there about the umpire are low-key getting bullied by this one dude. He's like, well, the TD told us we're doing this game. Y'all need to go to the other field. Like, and I'm like, bro, the fields are side by side. You're both making the same money.
Yeah.
Just go over there.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, the dude who was bullying them, he won. He stayed at our field. Well, this guy was unbelievably lazy. I mean, I don't even know another word. I guess I didn't take enough college. That's worse than lazy. Doesn't know the rules. And that's a big pet peeve of mine, knowing the rules. Well, a couple calls he made, atrocious. I don't say anything. But this one play we had, so my shortstop makes a phenomenal, JD, shout out JD, makes a phenomenal play. Bare hand, slow roller, the one motion play we teach. And the umpire didn't move. He had plenty of time to see the play develop, get out of the way of the throw. Well, JD somehow, have you seen the movie Wanted? With the bullets that go around the corner and all that stuff?
No.
Somehow JD made the ball go around the umpire, get to Max, and Max caught it. Kid was out, completely out. Well, the umpire never moved. He's had his back facing the play the whole time. So when Matt caught the ball, right, we're all thinking, okay, awesome play, JD. We got him. No one makes a call. So it was literally 15 seconds. And finally I was like, hey, Blue, what's the call? He don't say anything. He's just looking. Hey, Blue, what's the call? So finally he goes, safe. I lost my shit, bro. Because it was a culmination of him just being lazy, not knowing particular balk rules and all kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, I just went off. Didn't do anything out the norm of a coach.
Bad call. Yeah.
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 Now,
You've been
mind
screwing
you,
us all day.
I didn't call timeout.
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
talk to him
Oh,
personally.
yeah. I've been tossed out of games before that, right?
So I just said, dude, you had your back to the play. How can you make that call? And he says, Coach, I said he was safe. I was like, bro, you fat ass lazy dude. You super inappropriate.
Yep.
But I was frustrated, not an excuse. I deserve to get tossed.
Sure.
Trust me. So he tosses me out of the game or whatever. But then he takes it to a level that is ridiculous. He calls the police. And then he lies and tells the police I threatened him. So I didn't even know this until the police roll up.
Yeah.
And then a couple parents come. And mind you, he threatened one of my parents. So one of the dads was like, what are you doing, bro? He didn't threaten you, blah, 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 blah. And the umpire tells the dad, he's like, I might not could take him, but I could take you. He didn't tell the cops that though, right?
No, of course not.
So the cops come and I'm sitting on the curb. I'm talking to the TD. I'm telling him everything that happens. And he's like, hey, I need you to get the umpire's name. So the umpire happened to be walking out and I'm still sitting on the curb, right? And I was like, hey, Blue, can I get your name? He was like, no, you can't get my effing name. I was like, bro, Tim's on the phone. He's asking me. Your boss is asking me. I'm not giving you nothing. Matter of fact, I'm calling the police again. Calling the police for what? You threatening me. I'm like, what are you talking about, dude? I'm like, I don't need to threaten you, bro.
Yeah.
So they come, and at this time, I see the cops coming, and I start freaking out. Which we can, if we have time, I'll tell you about that anyway. I have very high anxiety when it comes to police, just because of a certain social injustice situation I dealt with twice with the cops in the last 4 years. So now I'm freaking out. The cops are there. They roll up. My wife's there. She's, supporting me. I got a couple of my own parents. They're trying to tell the cop, Marco, my boy Marcus, he's there. He's like trying to tell the police, no, I saw everything. I was there. They were like, we don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Talk to them. So I'm like, I'm not talking to police.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything. I don't like police. I'm not talking to you. They're like, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to talk to us. We just want to get your side of the story. I'm like, there is no side of the story.
It's a baseball game.
It's a baseball game. I got tossed.
Yeah.
In the story.
Right.
Well, he's saying he threatened you. I was like, it's a lie. I said, please leave me alone. I'm not talking to you guys. Well, I did see these two white ladies on the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they were coming to check on me.
Right.
Because they knew some of the same people in the same circle.
Yeah.
Come to find out when I got home, those are the ones taking the pictures.
Yeah.
Placing the narrative that here's that crazy black coach from 817.
Yeah.
Doing whatever. When the whole time it was an umpire that was embarrassed because he didn't know the rules. I called him on it, and I was disrespectful, calling him a fat ass, and he took it to another level, lying on me.
Yeah.
Because if I did threaten him, why am I not in handcuffs?
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, it's certainly,
and of course it goes to Facebook. I got people blowing my phone up. Hey man, you're on Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, really, dude?
Well, anytime, I think unless you're in it all the time, I think people don't understand when you're in that environment, whether it be football or baseball or basketball or any sports, and there's competition and it's heated and you're feeling like your kids are getting the short end of the stick. You're like, the mama bear, right? Because that's why all the parents lose their mind when stuff happens in the game too. Like everybody does that. It's just a part of sports. Like that's just what it is. Doesn't mean it's okay.
No, it's not okay.
It does mean we act like fools sometimes. And I say we because I'm just as guilty of that kind of stuff. Difference is maybe in some cases where I look like this and you look like that. So the police don't get called on me, and that's just the truth sometimes. And so, people make judgments and they see things and they make decisions based off their eyeball as opposed to knowing what's happening. And then you got busybodies all over town that want to get involved in everybody else's business.
Waiting for me to slip up.
Again,
waiting.
Worry about yourself. Quit worrying about.
And I wouldn't have got mad if it was a routine play. But this kid, JD,
made a phenomenal play.
Been struggling to he's been wanting to play first base, wanting to play infield. And he gets his shot and he's performing.
Yeah.
And the kid makes a outstanding. I want him to get his flowers then.
Yeah.
I don't want some lazy dude
taking it away.
Yeah,
I know.
And I went a little bit too far protecting JD.
Well, all I would tell you when you talk about the disrespect is that from the inside now, but from the outside coming in, I didn't experience seeing it as much, but I also know that if I'm in your shoes, I'm looking at all the people around me and the people that I've built in the group that I've put together.
Yeah.
And I'm going, man, I've done a really special thing here.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Now you can't rest on your laurels and, all that you're going to keep working and keep pushing. That's never going to change. But every once in a while you do have to stand back and go, you know what? I built this.
Yes.
Like I put this together. And if I wasn't who I think I am in my mind, right, then why would all these people want to be on the ride with me, right? They would have gotten off a long time ago.
Right.
And I'm sure there have been people that have gotten off the ride.
Yeah.
Right. And that's okay. Different for them. They do something else. And
with my background, Mike, check this out. This is funny. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
With my background, which is my adult life, I've been law enforcement. I had a guy try to sue me because I said he was in an organization, took his kid, pulled him because I said, I don't like police.
Yeah.
Bro, from the time I was 18, I was law enforcement. Till I was, when did I quit the feds? 2019. Was I 43?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. Like, seriously?
Yeah.
I can't have a personal feeling about a group from my experience without offending somebody.
Well, it's no different than
and
saying
he was a cop too. Like,
I don't want to go in the ocean because there are sharks. It doesn't mean the sharks are going to bite you. It just means personally that's not something that a situation you want to put yourself in.
Exactly.
I get it.
And the two SWAT team members
on the team,
on my courage team, I tell them all when they first, one of them showed up to try out in the SWAT car.
In his full uniform.
I say, bro, you got to go.
Yeah.
I was like, Roger.
Great dude, by the way.
I don't like cops.
Yeah.
Awesome dude.
Yes.
Awesome. He's actually going to be my assistant coach for the team in the spring. I was like, bro, you got to get that car up out of here. You can't show up in the uniform.
Make him a heart race.
Yeah, I said, I'm not comfortable. I don't like cops. And he laughed it off. And he's cool as hell, man. We're starting to become real close. But why can't people be like him? He's a SWAT team member. I told him to his face, and he knew I was serious.
That's the problem with generalizations as a whole, is that there are good people and there are bad people. And there are good police officers, there are bad police officers, there are good coaches, there are bad coaches, there are good parents, there are bad parents, and there are good white parents, there are bad white parents.
Yes.
There are good black parents, there are bad black parents. There are just good people and bad people. And you have to spend your life trying to spend as much time around good people as you can and not worrying about the bad people and not letting the bad people ruin your day and impact your life, because at the end of the day, what you do is completely up to you. It's your decisions. Right. I know you believe this because I hear you preach it to the kids, and I tell my kids this all the time. The only person that you have any control over is you.
Right.
You can control how you react. You can control what you do. You can control all of that. You cannot control what other people do. So to spend your time worrying about everybody else and what they're doing and what that's out of your control, that's just a waste of time.
Less time you can spend paying attention to detail.
Paying attention to detail and working on yourself. Be the best version of you can be. And until you're the best version of you that you can be, Stop worrying about everybody else.
And that's why I'm passing all you guys that play baseball as a coach. Y'all too busy worried about me. Well, I'm paying attention to detail.
That's right. Paying attention to the kids. And that's the biggest thing, man. And I'll say, you know, we've been going, this is 2 hours, this is a long one. I will tell you that again, and I can't reiterate it enough, the care that you have for those kids and the passion that you have for what you do, it comes across in everything that you do. You know, I know because I've done it. I know that you spend a lot of time away from your family, that you're not at everything, that you can't be at home all the time because you're at the facility grinding and building what you're building and working with those kids every day. Because we're there till 9:30 at night. And I know that you got there at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I know you've been prepping for it all day and learning and doing new things and putting out media and putting out videos and sending motivational texts and feeds on the by the way, anybody that's not on the 817 feed in Sports U, it's like a constant affirmation of trying to be the best person you can be all the time.
Yes, sir.
And
mentality.
You guys y'all have the most organized, most coordinated. Again, I don't say this lightly because I've been looking for this for a long time, and for my son, because I can't provide it anymore because he won't listen to me. So I have to put him in an environment that I think is best suited, that has the same values that I have. And you guys epitomize that to the highest degree from every single person in your organization. I can honestly say this. I have not met one person yet that I'm like, that dude's an asshole, or I don't like that lady, or whatever. Not one. Everybody's been great. And the crazy thing is coming into it, not knowing, you know, we were kind of quiet. My wife and I just kind of sat and did our own thing for the first, couple of weeks, because you don't know anybody. You're trying to figure out what's going on. And, as you get to know more and more people, you start realizing, wait a minute, these are great human beings. And some of them look different than me. Some of them come from different backgrounds than I do. But when you get to know all of them and you see them in that environment, there's no substitute for it.
What I laugh at a lot before I go to bed is the dynamic of the circle who's helped me get to where I am, especially in 2022, where you got freaking Kyrie Irving getting suspended for doing stuff, Kanye talking about different races. I have 4 white women backing a crazy black dude that some people might say I am. Amy, Devin, Bridget, and Heather been riding for me for 4 years, bro.
Yeah.
Through thick and thin, through me going to jail, through me being on probation, through me buying 817 from Doug and the TC Patriots. It's just crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
people won't believe it.
Jay Hoopman, who, Jason come out.
Yes. Hey, your son got good reviews about him on the outdoor practice. Yeah, I wasn't there. Sorry about that.
He had a stomach issue.
Yes.
But he just commented or whatever. And it's a good example of Jay and I have known each other since our kids were 2 and 3 years old. Like, we played together. He played with us for a long time, and he lives in Midlothian now. So they kind of moved closer to where they were, but he still played basketball with us all the way through 6th grade. And so he's been with me from the jump.
Yes, sir.
And him and I always hit it off pretty well. We're different backgrounds. He's a military guy.
Yes, sir.
But our passion, let's call it, for our kids, because we were both hard asses on our kids. Like, he was hard on his son, I was hard on my son. So we hit it off right away from that. And when he came to the tryout the first couple of times, we were chatting about it and talking or whatever. And, I was telling him all the stuff that I'm telling you right now. And he came to one practice, came to second one. He's like, man, this is what we've been looking for this whole time. And again, it goes back to, he's a dad that has a certain mentality for his son, and sports is the thing, but it's not just sports. It's how to be a man.
Yes, sir.
And that is what he looks at and says, this is what I want for my kid, because we're standing there and you're talking. He's like, I tell him that every day. I tell him that every day. He's saying the same stuff. We just went over this yesterday. He's like, but he doesn't listen to me anymore, because that just happens. I'm sure it's happened with your kids. It happens with everybody. But being in that environment, when you see it and you know what you're looking for, and I think that's the thing that anybody that's a hater, that's the part that they're missing. Right. They don't understand, or they don't value that. You know what I mean? And the truth is if you don't value that, then why do you don't need to be here anyway? It wouldn't fit. It wouldn't work.
And they don't see when I jump the kids, like literally jump them. And then after practice, they don't want to leave. They give me hugs no matter how hard I was on them.
Yeah.
They don't see that.
Yeah, because they know it's you. They know
Right.
it's true, and they know it's the real deal. So, well, all right, we're 2 hours into this bad boy. I really, really appreciate you coming in and doing this. This is a lot of fun. I had a great time. And would definitely when I get a little bit more brave on putting this stuff up, we'll start digging into conspiracy theories. We had a good chat beforehand, talking about all kinds of crazy stuff that we both think about. But so we'll definitely hook that up soon. But
it don't look like I'm gonna have to retire from coaching.
No,
we didn't hit 2,500.
Not to 2,500, but you got up to 330. This is the biggest one so far, and we'll see what the views look like when we're all done with this thing. I really do appreciate you coming in. Is there anything that you want to tell or say to anybody about 817 and the organization and what you're looking for and what your future lies with this, or not your future, but where you're trying to take this thing, and what do the next 5 years look like? Anything you want to throw out there before we roll out?
Nope. I think everybody knows I'm an open book. So I'm not changing. I don't want to get canceled though.
I don't think that's happened. You are going to happen. You built up a big enough support system that ain't going to go anywhere.
But I do want that blue check on Instagram though, because teaching y'all as kids, bro, barely making ends meet. So I need some supplemental income. I don't care about money. I've never been into money. But
you got to eat.
I got to eat, bro.
Yeah,
and I got to get my wife off my butt about going back to finish my 4 years so I can get a retirement check. But yeah, go help me get that blue check, man. Our last video, it's almost about 14,000 views.
Nice.
So here, let me see if I
can support them on Instagram.
Yeah.
Support them on Facebook.
MJSG95 on Instagram. Let me show y'all this real quick so you know I'm not, as the youngsters say, capping. You see that? Wait.
Yeah, that one right there. There you go.
Yeah, we're about to hit 14,000.
Nice.
I don't know how many views consistently you got to get that blue check, but that blue check sure be nice.
You want somebody mention the try-ins? You want to tell anybody about the
try-ins?
I love that word, by the way.
I can't take credit for that. That's my boy Pope. Y'all know him as Jack Ranger on social media. His son is Grizz. Probably the pound for pound hardest hitting 11-year-old in the state of Texas. But yeah, he came up with that try-in, and the concept was blood in, blood out, right? You're trying in. You're not trying out. You're trying to be in with us. So we like to be different. So I roll with it.
And by the way, you said, I wanted to bring this up earlier, but the other reason I know that you care about those kids is because, as far as I've heard in practice, we have the best center fielder in the state of Texas.
Yes.
We have the best catcher in the state of Texas.
Yes.
We have one of the pound for pound best hitters in the state of Texas.
We got the best leadoff. Diesel, 13U leadoff.
The level of compliments and encouragement that he gives those kids equals the level.
Matter of fact, let me finish the list, Mike, if we got time.
Yeah.
We got the best teen moms in the state of Texas, and I'll go through them. Our 10U, we got Kristen and Renika. Our 12U, we have Carly and Jill. Our 13, my yin yang Stephanie, and part-time Shauna. Shauna's like 3. She's for 13U, 14U, and JV because her son Coleman is just a damn good baseball player.
Stud.
And he's of the age. He's only 13. He can play 3 different ages. And our high school, who the hell's our high school team, Mom? I don't think we have one. Oh, my bad. Damn. Lindsay Cottle. Lindsay Cottle's awesome.
Sorry, Lindsay.
And Bridget also a 13U, but she's a board member. She's been ride or die with me. We have the best catching coach in the state of Texas, Zach Cameron.
Zach's amazing.
Yes, sir. Who else? We have newcomer Jalen, Railroaders professional pitcher. He's still trying to break into the major leagues. He's still 23. We believe he'll make it. Sits 99 miles an hour with his fastball. Who else do we have? We have Back to Wellness, who
Or
helps us.
yoga.
Yes. Oh, Miss Belinda Jean.
Yes, and for anybody that doesn't know, by the way, that stuck around this long, they do yoga. Like that alone, I'm into yoga. My wife and I are, but that is amazing.
3 times a week.
3 times a week.
And it's not an additional cost for our families. It's all in the fees.
Yep.
Including catching lessons. Who else? We have Matthew, my right hand on the 13U. My boy Pedro, who is the number 2 in the organization. He slid in when the snake Pat Madison ran off with about 20 kids to the Canes. Pedro, appreciate you, bro. Who else? And Dan, of course, Dan, my brother. He coaches my son Shell. So if I trust him with Shell, you guys know he's legit. And all of our fundraising committee. And of course, this wouldn't be possible without 2 people: Sebastian, my son, because he played baseball, and Doug Mummy, who gave me my shot at all this and actually sold me the organization. So to be where I'm at. So hopefully I didn't miss anybody. If I did, I also have the best secretary ever in the history of secretaries, Heather Arterburn, whose son Hayden was the first kid I ever taught how to pitch, who hopefully will make his high school team this time. If y'all Mansfield High School.
And then you got the 2 wonderful women in your life backing you up all the time with your wife and daughter.
My wife Miranda and my daughter, my assistant, who she actually
also a great hype lady herself. Yes, by the way,
she is. She's a great hype lady. She was down there in Rockerbie, hyping us all up. She actually makes more money than I do. Gabby does. I make like $7.50 an hour. She makes $20 an hour.
That a girl.
But that's one of the benefits of having an LLC. 7th, I think anybody under 22 can make up to $5,000 a year.
Yep.
And it's tax free or something like that.
Sir.
So of course I'm going to pay my daughter.
If
I only make $7, I'll give her $20.
That's called intelligence, sir.
Yes, sir.
Doing the right things. Well, man.
Nope. One more. Marcus is one of the best. Marcus Washington, aka Marcus Styles, aka
Hype man extraordinaire.
Hype man extraordinaire. He is the Diddy.
Yes, sir.
He's the Diddy in the
he is the Diddy.
Dame Dash of youth baseball.
He is the Diddy.
He styles our teams. They actually sent my daughter some clothes yesterday for a thank you for watching his son Kanai.
Yes, sir.
He does the music, and dude, he does everything. One of the best dudes you'll ever meet. So this is for me and Michael, or send our shout out to Marcus. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Give me 3.
All right, man. Well, again, we're going to do this again sometime.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to this spring. It's going to be a blast. I can't wait just to see the growth that happens. And I know that you're building a great thing, and I'm glad that we're a part of it. And I feel blessed that you guys came into our life, because, my son's loving it. He's challenged every day. And, if you guys aren't here, you're missing out. That's all I can say.
Absolutely. Mike, I can't wait to the next one, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Conspiracy theories.
All right. We'll see you guys. Thanks for sticking around. Adios.